himself with me understands why now. Hold on, let me see.
Okay. All right, so we're Facebook Live. Thank you all. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very, very special edition of Off the Record, the People's Podcast. I have two great panelists and guests who came to me with a serious subject that I thought was very important and impactful for people of all ages. And I felt that in a time like this, we need to promote family, and I'm all for it. So first of all, assalamu alaikum, Sister Khadijah.
Walaikum salam, Brother Joshua.
And assalamu alaikum, Sister Portia.
Walaikum salam.
Okay, and the topic that we're going to deal with today is what to expect after you say I do. I feel that many people want to know. You all have experience in being married and as well as being single, and we want to learn from wise counsel. So, Sister Teresa Pearl says, "Assalamu alaikum, family." And what wise counsel, as a history major, we all know that our some of the traditions have been passed down from our ancestors orally. So we want to make sure that we continue that with some of our two wise aunts on Facebook Live. So now the first person I want to start with is Sister Khadijah.
Yes, sir.
How important is loving self before you get married?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Brother Joshua, even having us on your show as the panels, and we appreciate panelists, and we really appreciate you and want to send you much love for you having your podcast, because it's reaching so many people and giving such great information that's definitely needed in this hour. So the question you asked is what is important about loving self. So of course, that's very important before you even desire a mate, because you have to have a thorough knowledge of yourself. And having a thorough knowledge of yourself will definitely equip you to make a better decision on what type of mate you are. Mate that you want. The Honorable Minister Farrakhan teaches us that even when a person doesn't have an aim or a purpose, they shouldn't even acquire a mate, because you don't have an aim or a purpose that you have within your life. So knowing yourself, knowing what you want to accomplish, knowing your aims, knowing your purpose will give you a better opportunity to choose wisely for your mate, or who you're going to be using as a helpmeet. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad also taught us that we must have a thorough knowledge of ourselves. And knowing yourself is also loving yourself. We sometimes get into relationships where we are looking for an outer source to bring us enjoyment or bring us a level of security, when it really starts with self. So we have to have, again, a comprehensive knowledge of ourselves, a knowledge of God, of course, and that will enable us to choose wisely on what type of help that we want in our lives. So it's very important to have a knowledge of self.
Praise be to Allah. Sister Ariane says, Assalamu alaikum. Sister Brianna X. Clark as well. And Sister Portia, I'm coming to you. But when you say loving yourself helps you choose a mate because you have a knowledge of self, does it take, when you say knowledge of self in quotation marks, if we're both the same religion or we both from the same city, is that enough? I start with you, Sister Portia. Is that enough just to be both in the nation, or both be supposed somebody who's both had the same religion and they're close to each other? Is that enough?
Absolutely not. We're taught that you have to be equally yoked, and I think a lot of us misconstrue that topic or that saying, thinking that as long as you're in the same religion, that's enough. You have to complement each other. But before you can know whether that person is complimenting you, you have to know yourself and first know your creator. Once you get an intimate relationship with your creator, whatever you call him by, and as you're getting to know him and really, really taking it seriously with his relationship, then you are going to naturally become more acquainted with yourself. And as you become more acquainted with yourself, this is going to now allow you to see your strengths, your weaknesses. What are you good at? What are you not so good at? What are some things you can work on? These are the things that you would know and will be an inkling of who you need to watch out for as brothers are approaching you, as they're inquiring about you. Now you can start asking questions and navigating through that relationship to see, is this person really going to compliment me as a person? Or the goals that I have for my life, is that enough? Is he going to be able to build on that? Am I going to be able to build on his goals that he has for his life? So it goes far beyond just your religion And just you being in the same city, that literally is like surface level. You have to go deeper. But in going deeper, you have to do the work on yourself first. Once you do the work on yourself and you truly, truly understand the essence of you and the essence of God, then this is going to make it a little bit easier to now learn what you are looking for, because now you're taking on the coloring of God. You're taking on his vision. So now you're not looking through the lens of yourself, you're looking through the lens of him. And that makes it a little bit easier for you to navigate as you are going through, different relationships or courtships. This is going to help you to identify exactly what you need in your life.
Okay, praise be to Allah. All right, this is came to teach today. Y'all ain't know they had all that in them. Yeah. Okay. Sister Khadijah, my next question for you is: what are some red flags that people should look for? And some red flags.
I mean, the beauty of the red flag is that Allah gives us enough power of discernment to know what is a red flag, but sometimes we ignore it. And red flags are very important because it helps us assess whether we want to, is this a good thing or a bad thing? So a red flag is something that you have to address. And so many times we look at red flags and we try to ignore them. We turn the red flags into little pretty trees, brother. We just act like they don't even exist, but they're there for a purpose.
Yes,
ma'am. And it should not be ignored. Sometimes we ignore the red flags. It's almost like killing the messenger of Allah and yourself. When we're doing wrong, it's always that internal thought that comes in us, which is the messenger of Allah, that tells us, hey, you're going the wrong way. But if we kill it, it will go away. So it's very important when we're it's that same dynamic exists in relationships. When those red flags are present, you must acknowledge them. Don't act as if they don't exist. Because if you don't get to the root of it, like they start out very small, but then it becomes greater and larger. So it's very important when you see the red flags, make sure we address it. We sometimes don't want to address them because we have a fear that if we address them, that the partner or the potential mate might lose interest. Right. So that's why we sometimes ignore them or don't want to address them, because we don't want to rattle something that's already being rattled by Allah's permission. So it's very important not to ignore the red flags, address them, and see if you can understand the root of where they come from. That's when sometimes we have to put on our Dianetics hat, in a sense, and assess, why are they that way? Why is this happening? Why is this person responding in the way they're responding? Did it happen when they were a child? Is it something they experienced as an adult? And see if there's something that you can get over, or maybe you should run in the opposite direction.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. And thank you all, my panelists, for your great answers and transparency. And thank the people for continue to watch the People's Podcast. Brother T. Farrell says, yeah, I ignored a big red billboard. Sister Alicia says, talk about red flags. Sister Joy, walaikum salam, Sister Joy, thank you for joining. This is your first time watching. She says, go ahead. Brother Abel says, walaikum salam, right, teach. And thank you all for continuing to watch. My next question, continue with red flags with you, Sister Portia. How long when do you think that you should tell a potential partner, somebody that you are talking, courting, or dating, about something that you're going through? Because you might want to hide your red flag, if that makes sense.
Okay, say it one more time, please.
So let's say a red flag of mine is I have an anger issue, right? I mean, a red flag of a woman might be an anger issue. As a person, do you think that the person you're talking to should tell the other person, hey, I got anger issues, hey, I got this, boom, 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 because they might not want to say nothing because they don't want to show up as a red flag.
Right.
So when should the person say, hey, I'm just laying this out here, you know what I'm saying?
So to be honest, let's just be real. Nobody's about to just come out and say, some people do, but for the most part, nobody's about to be like, look, I'm a terrorizer, I'm angry, I bust up stuff, I bust my fist through walls. Like, nobody's about to say that. Because they're putting on their representation, that good representative at the beginning. Like, just keep it real. That is what it is. They want to make sure that they look as best as possible towards the other person. But I do believe, and this is something that me and my husband definitely did early on in our courtship, in our relationship, that we made sure we were completely transparent very early. we did not keep anything back. Now, there were some things that my husband shared with me that he was a little, nervous about. But one thing that I respected about him and I love to this day about him is that he has always been 100 with me. He's always been honest with me. And to me, that lets me know that he respects my heart. Like, he can protect my heart because he's not here to play any games. He's let me know his intentions early on so that I know that this man is about business. He really wants to be with me. He really wants to get to know the person that I am. He really wants to take this and go through the long haul. So to answer your question, I really feel like we should be honest from the beginning, but I can also understand if it's a real red flag, whatever it is, you can be a little hesitant because you don't want to turn the person off or look a certain way to them. So, you're trying to look your best. But in my honest opinion, once y'all have had a few, months of really having good conversations, deep conversations, good questioning going on so that you know the intention of the other person, just be honest. You should be honest from the beginning. But when it comes to those deeper red flags and deeper issues, you still have to make sure that you are being honest, because if not, it's going to always bite you in the long run. It's going to always come out in the light, whether you want it to or not. So if y'all end up married and you were not completely honest with the person, it's going to come out eventually. So your best bet is to be honest from the beginning.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you for your response. Sister Alicia says, not slash tires, you're a red flag, beloved. Dr. Carter says, hey, Dr. Henry Carter, thank you very much for watching. Transparency is essential during the courtship phase. You learn by asking the right questions. Brother T. Farrell says, oh, he was talking about slashing tires and breaks dishes. Brother Abel says, right, yes, ma'am. Sister Joy said, okay, thank you, Sister Joy, for watching. And also Dr. Carter says, success leaves clues and so do failures. Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are, believe them.
Exactly.
Okay. And Sister Myra, this is her first time watching as well, says that's right. My next question for you, Sister Khadijah Davis, is deal breakers. How do you know if you're being too picky or if you're being if you're being too childish with your deal breakers, and how much of that is you actually knowing this is what you are willing to accept?
Wow, that's a very loaded question, brother. It's funny that you have said that term picky, because that was posed to me. A sister was asking me, "Are you still single?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am." And she even said to me, "Well, you're too picky." And I'm like, "I'm making a life choice. This is my second go round, so I think I have a right, not the term picky, but to be very reserved in my choice, so I won't make the same mistakes I had in my previous marriage."
Right.
So it's basically deal breakers. I'm very grateful that this is my second go round. Inshallah, hopefully I will find a proper mate that will be with me. So I have to look also of the accountability of myself to see what I contributed to the relationship,
right,
and also what this person is going to contribute if I'm willing to go past that. Sometimes what we experience in our previous relationships, if we don't get the proper auditing, if we don't get the proper counseling, we can carry that to the next relationship. And that goes on both sides. So deal breakers are something that you just can't be without. That you can't deal with. And it's nothing wrong with being honest with that. So if I'm going to start on a very shallow level. Now, I won't call it shallow, but it's really based off what a person likes. So if a person is too obese, they don't want to be with a woman or a man that's obese. That's their choice. You can't get upset that that's a deal breaker for them. Right. You can't get upset. That's just what they like. You might have somebody that say, well, I will work with someone that might be overweight to help them get to the desired results. We'll work together. Or a deal breaker might be just basically based on what they particularly see. And you have to just respect it. And if it's going to be something, for instance, where you're on the receiving end and the person said, well, Khadijah, you have too many children. I don't want to date somebody with a lot of children or be married to someone with a lot of children. I can't get upset with that, because why would I want to be with someone who doesn't want to accept me for who I am and what I have and what I'm bringing to the table? So don't ever take it, any deal breakers, depending on what end it's coming from, don't ever take it as a form of rejection. That's not the one for you.
Right.
And if you have a certain standard that you have and the person doesn't meet that standard, it's okay. That's not the person for you. But one thing I will say with deal breakers are, don't be so shallow where you can't be redemptive with a person in relationships. You know, we can't, well, you know what, she has a big nose, I can't do big noses. See, that's a little shallow to me. But still, in all, that's just where the person is at in reference to their deal breakers. So to end that point, is the deal breakers, it depends on what the person will accept and won't accept, and it should be respected. It's just based off the individual.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Praise be to Allah. Sister Alicia says her deal breakers. Apparently, Sister Alicia has a lot of deal breakers. Habitual liar, mommy issues aren't the move. Sister Joy said her deal breaker is inconsistency. Brother T. Farrell said this is a great topic, brother. Excellent guest as well. Thank you very much. And Sister Alicia says her deal breaker is a man that hates his mother. And Sister Shekinah, this is her first time watching live as well, says my girl, the multi-talented Sister Khadijah. Okay, my next question for you, Sister Portia, is in fact, oh yeah, this is one I wanted to ask you. No, do you have anything to say about the deal breakers, or do you want to stay right there?
No, I completely agree with what she said. One thing that I wanted to add was that when I was single, I made sure I wrote down what my non-negotiables were.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to write it down. We're taught to write things down so that we can see it. That will help it
Right.
sit in our head. So I wrote down what my non-negotiables were, and I promised myself, no matter what, no matter how good this man looks, no matter
Yes.
how much we connecting with each other, if the non-negotiables are being violated, then that's it, period. Because I had to really go deep into myself to find out what are some things I'm just not going to tolerate. Based off of my past experiences, based off of past courtships, they were learning experiences, praise be to Allah, to help me learn about myself, holding myself accountable. Now that's one. With it, going back to a red flag and even a deal breaker, when someone is not able to hold themselves accountable and they're always blaming other people for whatever happened in their life, that's a problem. So just making sure that we are completely 100% clear on what we will tolerate, because like Sister Khadijah said, this is a lifetime commitment, inshallah, if it's God's will. This is not something to play around with. You know, a lot of us, we fall in love with the fantasy and the idea of being in love and being married, but this is not a game. So you need somebody that's going to truly be there through thick and thin, and you need to know that you took a full self-analysis and you really broke down what you needed for yourself as a mate. What did you need from your husband? And this is something you did without anyone else. This is something, you know, this is an intimate situation where you really were completely honest with the things that you definitely needed and the things that you could not tolerate. And that's when you will not have any type of resentment. Resentment comes when you start tolerating and start allowing certain things and certain behaviors that you know are not okay with you.
Yes, ma'am.
And so we have to be honest with ourselves. We have to go past the physical, even though it's important for you to be attracted to your mate. But we have to go past the physical and really look into the spiritual. How is the person's spirit? Does that spirit match with you? Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I want to stay right there on the physical because
Brother,
that's something
okay, praise you. So I'm glad you are, Brother Joshua, because I wanted to just comment a little, say something really quick. And we take on Allah's coloring because Allah is the best of coloring. And when we look how Allah chooses messengers of Allah, He chooses His messengers for a certain purpose and reason.
Right.
And He knows best where to place His message. So when He chooses, and sometimes the people are not happy with the choice that Allah chose. You know, many were not happy with the choice of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad as being the messenger of Allah. It was a lot of envy surrounding him by being the choice. Many were not happy with the choice of the honorable Louis Farrakhan taking and working and taking the position and working with the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. So we have to know best what's best for us. So Allah knows best where to place His message. So you have to know best what type of mate you need. So when we choose, it should be based on how Allah chooses His messenger of Allah. That's the way you should choose your mate. It should not be from a low desire. It should be on a higher level. That's why Allah says, my ways are not your ways, and my thoughts are not your thoughts. Mine are from above, while yours are from beneath, because many times we choose based on a very low standard of how we see things physically. Right. And when we do it on a physical level, or not do it, but choose on a physical level, it really puts us in a very bad situation because we don't go deeper, like Sister Portia said. And it puts us in a lot of poor situations because we really didn't get to know the individual. We just went so surface. Sister Portia hit on that earlier. We go so surface just with the physical, and just because it looked good, it doesn't mean that it is good for you. It's the way that seemeth right unto man, but the way thereof are the raises of death. So it's so many things we have to take on, again, with that coloring of Allah. How he chooses his messengers is how we should take that same mindset and how we choose our mates.
Praise be to Allah. Excellent. And thank you all both for your great answers. And thank you all for continuing to watch People's Podcast. Brother T. Farrell says, yes, I'm shallow like that. He doesn't like ugly feet. Sister Miriam, thank you for joining, Sister Miriam. Alaikum salam. Usually only 15 minutes late. Sister Brianna X Crank says, yes, the blame game. She hates it also. Boom. Sister Shakana saying, teach Khadijah, send you a holy lot. And Sister Brianna says, that's right. And my Sister Miriam says, break it down. Okay. My next question for you, Sister Portia, is I'm not going to let this physical thing go because since Khadijah just broke it down, she dropped it. Now we up here. Are you all telling me, right? I just want to be hearing what I'm saying. That I just want to be clear now because it's called off the record on the People's Podcast. Are you telling me that it's not about the physical? Is that what you're saying, Sister Portia?
I'm absolutely not. I'm not about to say agreement. Okay, that's not going to happen. Okay, let me just put it this way. So let's just say that you have, and this can be anybody's situation. You have a certain type, so-called, right? Oh, you like, for the brothers, you like, brown skin with long hair, small or light skin with, little thick, or for the females, you like muscular and wavy hair. So these are our types. So this is what myself and Sister Khadijah are talking about. We're taking on what our understanding is of what we need from a mate versus going to God, going to Allah, praying to him and saying, guide me through this because I'm not making the right decisions. That was my prayer. I'm not making the right decisions. It's something that I'm missing. So from now on, I'll surrender. I need you to guide me through this. Help me to see the red flags. Help me to see if this person is the one for me. A lot of times when we get into a relationship or a courtship, we're like, the only prayer we say is, Lord, please let him be the one. No, sir, no, ma'am. Like, we have to go deeper than that. It has to be, we have to be taken seriously. So when Brother Joshua going to your question, of course you got to be attracted to the person, of course. But there's so many levels of attraction. So, for instance, like I was attracted to my husband when we first met, but I am so much more attracted to him now just because our love has become deeper. And once you really start seeing the person and you're actually able to see their heart, that's where you really get a full scope of an attraction for someone. But again, you have to really go into a deep prayer and constantly praying through the whole process of, oh God, help me to see the person for who they are. Show me the signs. Like I was at like praying, like, please show me concrete signs. I'm not scared. Like if I need to call it off next week, let me know. So physical attraction is definitely important. But like we've been taught, that's going to wither away. Like stuff is going to start sagging. Things are going to start getting wrinkly. Like it's not going to always last. But you have to have something else that makes you stay, that really keeps the relationship going. And it's not going to always be love.
Brother Joshua, can I also add another comment? I'm going to share a story. I'll share a quick story. Praise be to Allah. And may Allah be pleased with our big brother, Hafiz Muhammad, our regional minister from New York. And I was battling with that concern. I was in a courtship with a brother and I was not physically attracted to him, but he had a very good heart. So I will seek counsel from our big brother, Hafiz Muhammad. I called him and I said, Brother Hafiz, I'm in courtship with a brother, but I'm not that attracted to him. Do you think eventually it will grow to that? Brother Hafiz, and this is what I'm talking about being so transparent. Brother Minister Hafiz said, well, Sister Khadijah, you can't lay with nice. You got to wake up to that brother every day. So he kept it very real. And then he went deeper. He said, Sister Khadijah, the first it's a law of attraction. That's like a first law. When you see the person, you're attracted to them physically. That's the first law of attraction, is a physical attraction. But he says it cannot stay there. Right. It can't stay there. It has to go deeper, like Sister Portia said, because if you just stay on that surface level, you won't go deeper. So when the beauty fades, so would your love. Well, so when you go deeper in love with this person, then it becomes everlasting. Right. Because the love has grown deeper. It's the same way in our faith. That's why marriages have to faith. The greater we go into our faith and be in tune with our faith, the more we see the beauty from it and the more we love it. And that's how it is with our relationships, by the grace of it should be that same way in our relationships. You have to go deeper. Even though the first law, it's a physical attraction is that first law, but we have to go deeper in our relationships.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful and excellent teaching. My sister Naima says exactly. Sister Miriam says facts. Naima, yes, you were late. Sister Miriam also says teach on the level. Sister Portia, attraction matters, should I say? Brother T. Farrell says you all are giving some straight up pearls of wisdom on this subject. Man, Brother T. Farrell, this is the first time I've seen you watch this long. Praise be to Allah. Okay, my next question for you all. Speaking of the attraction and shallowness and things of that nature, once that all goes out the window and you start to see couples, everybody's like the great struggle. Marriage is the beautiful struggle. How can you, what advice, I'll start with you, Sister Portia, come back to you. What advice, because you just spoke, what advice do you give to people who saying, why would I jump into that? Like, you make a struggle sound beautiful.
You said, how do you make a struggle sound beautiful?
Yeah, you're like, y'all, this half your faith. It's going to be the hardest decision you ever make in your life. Well, but come on over here. Like, but you got to do it. But it's like, what you saying now?
I think, you know what? That's an awesome question. I think it also goes hand in hand with like children. It's a beautiful struggle, but you just have to understand that you're going to be calling on God, Allah, whoever you believe in, you're going to be calling on him a lot during marriage, okay? And when you start having children, because you are involving other people now that are intimately in your circle that you did not have before. So you have to, it is a beautiful struggle. It's beautiful in the sense that if you continue on and you keep Allah first in the center of your marriage, that he wants the best for the both of you. Now, you have to remember that he's always, struggle is ordained in life, in nature, period. It's ordained. So you have to get that pressure. You have to get that heat, just like a diamond has to go through that. But look what happens once you go through that heat and that pressure, just like the diamond, it's a beautiful thing in the end result. So it's ordained for you to struggle. I'm not going to, they said, even if you were single, it says that you're going to go through 3 major trials in 1 year. You are expected to have at least 3 trials in 1 year. So even with that, in marriage, there's so many things that you can come across and you can face, but just know that if you made the right decision and if you really took it seriously from the beginning and this is the person that you're supposed to be with, that they're going to go be with you through thick and thin. And that's the beauty of it, because now you have a journey that you can go through, and you have somebody to go through it with you, and they're going to fight with you as far as fight with you as a teammate, not fight you. You know what I'm saying? They're going to be fighting with you. They're going to be facing everything that you face. And so that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. You definitely will struggle, but it's a beautiful process. It's a beautiful thing. So, it's just like anything else in life. Like you've gone through so many struggles just as an individual. Just think about that. You've gone through so many struggles and so many difficulties as an individual, but after difficulty always comes ease. And so what you have to do is continue your spiritual journey. So you started your spiritual journey as an individual, as a single person. It's going to only evolve as a married person. but you have to continue evolving and growing in it, so that now you will come together with your mate and y'all are, meshing. This is when they say you're not married when you get married. Married means that you become one. You don't initially become one when you first get married to someone. So that's where the beautiful struggle comes in, because you have two individuals that come from two different, ways of life and, different ways of doing things. And now they have to come together and mesh and eventually become one. That's a lot. That's a lot. It's going to be some struggle. It's going to be some disagreements, but you have to make sure that we handle them in the best of manner, and it's going to be beautiful on the other end. So, don't be scared, Brother Joshua. Don't be scared. It's a beautiful thing. It really is.
Okay. Excellent teacher, Sister Portia. Sister Alicia says, okay, we off that one. Okay, so my sister Miriam says, everything of value has a difficulty factor. Joshua, get your queen. Beyonce is already my. Thank you all for knowing that I'm married. Sister Mimi says yes. Brother Kaz Muhammad says, so proud of you representing Sister Portia X. Sister Miriam says, you're teaching. Brother Delano says, great job, Sister Portia. Thank you, Brother Mark, for giving me the greetings as well. And Sister Alicia says, sister is teaching. Okay, my next question for you, Sister Khadijah. Boom. So Khadijah, I know you have something that you would like to say on that subject.
No, I think one of the comments said it. Anything of value has a difficulty factor attached to it. And the beauty of going through struggle, it brings what's in you out of you. And if you're never tested or tried, you will never know what's inside of you.
Right.
And that's why Allah tries to believe. It's the same. The Holy Quran says, when men be left alone, are saying they believe and not be tried. You have to be tried to know your human potential, because if we're never tried, we will know what's in us. So, and I remember a quote from Sister Ava Muhammad. She said, "There's nothing in life that can harm us. Loss of life, property, money. It's the attitude that we take that hurts us the most." So even when you're going through struggles in your marriage, if you take on a negative attitude when you're going through the struggle, it can increase the struggle. But if you lean on Allah and lean on constant prayer, it can help you alleviate some of the stress that you will go through. But if you go in with a very negative attitude, it can make the struggle even greater. But when you go in with a positive attitude, and like Sister Portia said, after difficulty comes ease, you'll see your way through, and you'll be even greater and stronger for the next trial that will come, because they will come after.
Praise be to Allah. And I'm coming back to that point. So Portia, some of the viewers are saying they can't see you. The light went out. The lamp is dim. The light is over. Okay, Sister Khadijah.
Yes, sir.
And okay, brothers are just choosing at this point. Sister Miriam says, okay, Sister Minister Khadijah, and Sister Naima says, teach. Praise be to Allah. It's still not there yet, Sister Portia. Okay, my next question for you. You all said so much about the struggle. It's ordained. It's beautiful. Sister Khadijah, you have been married and not married anymore. And you're saying you still, even though you went through all of that, you still desire to get married again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Beautiful. Amazing to me. That's amazing.
I'm still
to me.
here, brother. I'm breathing. I made it.
Yes, ma'am. Well, Sister Khadijah, how do you want to go about finding who the one? People are saying, I'm looking for the one. This one character that we are in search of. How do you know who the one is?
You will know the one when you're one with self. You have to go back to that. Because when we are not knowing who we are and not in tune with ourselves, which is Allah, because Allah isn't that we are the reflection of Allah. Right. So when we're not in tune with ourselves, it's hard to find one that meets our needs, because we're not in tune with ourselves. Right. So that was one of the things that me and Sister Portia, we talked about when I made that decision, because it's not, I'm gonna share a personal story. It wasn't that I was not asking courtship. I have been separate. I was married for 16 years and I divorced, and I've been single for over maybe 10 years, 10 years now. And it's not during that time period that I was asked in courtship, or brothers did not inquire about me. I had some successful courtships. And when I say successful, the success in courtships did not mean that they ended marriage. Right. It did mean we came to an amicable decision to say we're not good for each other. And I think a lot much for some of the courtships, because I've grown and had a great relationship with many brothers that have moved on and have married. And we did things properly, so it kept the ummah, it kept the community together, because we did it based off of the guidance of the Most Honorable Muhammad. So it was no hate, it was no malice. They, you know, they went their way, I went mine, but we still kept that community and ummah together. So I had to really go deep into myself to make my decision to say, look, I'm not entertaining anything. I'm gonna work on Khadijah. Self-improvement is the basis of community development. You have to work on yourself, because we get very frustrated in the process because we're not tuning into self and tuning into Allah. So we entertain anything and everybody that comes our way. I was guilty of that. Right. So any courtship came my way, I accepted it. Then I look at the brother like, no, I ain't attracted to this brother, but I'm still gonna court him anyway. Right. This brother, man, he ain't even working. He only got a car, but I'm gonna court him anyway. Right. This brother, he don't even talk to his children. He don't come out, but I'm gonna court. See, I was accepting anything my way because I wasn't accepting the greatness in me that Allah put in me, being in tune with Him, and like Sister Portia said, getting discernment. And when we say discernment, Allah gives us that as a gift to know when to stay and when to move. Yes. And I was not in tune with Him. And that's why I kept going through these courtships after courtship. Shout out to Sister Captain Jana from New York City. Sister Captain Jana, she called me the queen of courtship because I kept going through so many courtships. She's like, you done mastered these things. You've been through so many. But I think a lot much I went through them because I saw levels of growth with each of them that I went through. Right. What I accepted. Sometimes I'm being very transparent right now, accepting pre-courtships when you're not really in an official courtship. Those are pre-courtships. You're not in an official one, but you're entertaining someone, hoping it will lead to courtships. I made a lot of bad mistakes, but now at this particular time, I made the decision, and I'm going to Portia will probably elaborate as well. I said, enough is enough. Whatever the messenger says, the messenger knows best. He always knows best. Allah knows best. So I'm going to just go and follow what he has given me and told me to do. Work on myself. Started just working in my community, getting working out, getting myself in shape, eating properly, doing everything that was pleasing to me. And still the courtship were coming through. Courtship requests were still coming through, but I had more power with discernment to say no or yay or nay to them based on, because I knew myself, so I know what choice I wanted in the mate that I needed. So that's the blessing that comes.
Praise be to Allah.
Can I coming that, Brother Joshua?
I absolutely support you. I'm going to give you 1 second for y'all sisters going at it.
Yes.
This is kind of like that's like y'all generation, right? Like, I mean, not Ella Fitzgerald. Who was that? Oh, Jill Scott and Erykah Badu when they were on live. You know, remember Jill Scott and Erykah Badu? They just had their battle. It's like that. Like y'all going off. The queens, the sisters, y'all going off.
You say Ella Fitzgerald, Sister Khadijah.
Okay, listen.
Oh, tonight.
So, Sister Brother Victor Pete Muhammad says teach. Sister Alicia says no. Sister Joy says go ahead. Brother Galen X Stanfield says he needed to hear this. Sister Alicia says they're for real. Come on and teach on them pre-courtships. And my sister Miriam says thank you both for thank you both for your transparency. My question is, I'm coming to you, Sister Portia, on the one. I got that. I got you right here. But this pre-courtship, I'm not familiar with this. What is a pre-courtship, Sister Khadijah? Can you help me out?
Meaning that you're hoping it will lead to courtship, but it's not an official courtship.
Somebody slides in your DM.
Yes, slide in your DM, barking your ear off for here and there, and then we potentially thinking that this person is going to want to go into courtship. And I'm putting a lot of emphasis on the sisters, because this is where we get caught up in a lot of mess. Right. Courtship does not mean marriage. That's where we get really fooled. It doesn't mean marriage. Courtship is the process in which you're seeing if you want to be with this person, if you're choosing to marry the person. So some of us are particularly get into the mindset of thinking, well, I don't want to get into a courtship because I don't want to get married yet. No, it doesn't mean marriage. It means you're stating your intentions that you want to marry. So we think we're going to win the person over. And I'm really talking to the sisters right now. Hello, I hope you hear me. We think we're going to win the brother over by entertaining the brother, but you don't know how many other sisters he's entertaining because you're not in an official courtship where it's a protective measure for you and the brother. It's protection for both of you. And I'm not saying that the sisters don't get played or entertained pre-courtship. Some brothers get played and as well. It's very evenly yoked when it comes to getting played if you don't go into an official courtship. So you talking and entertaining, and then you see 2 weeks later he's married. Right. I've seen it.
Yes, ma'am.
You entertain her for a month, you're sending her money, and then you turn around, she married to another brother. So don't play yourself.
Congratulations, absolutely, Sister Portia. I'm coming right to you. I just had to follow up with Sister Khadijah.
I actually wanted to touch on what she was saying with the last question you asked her.
But no, I'm gonna let you come back in. I just gotta get this in real quick.
Yes, sir.
If Sister Portia, what city do you live in?
I'm in Washington, D.C.
Okay, I'm familiar with D.C. I used to live there. Okay, so if I'm headed from Atlanta to Washington, D.C., right? But I'm saying I don't want to go to D.C., right? But y'all saying get in the car, just drive towards D.C., even though you don't want to go to D.C., because it doesn't mean, like, you said, like, get in the courtship, but it don't mean, like, even though you're not trying to get married, still get in the way. Like, if I'm not trying to go to D.C., why would I get in the car and head towards D.C.?
So what is your intent? This is the question needs to be asked as you as a brother. What are your intentions? Are you trying to date? You trying to get to a little piece of something?
We're trying to get married and be fruitful and multiply and help produce the children of God. That's what everybody wants to do, is get married, be fruitful, produce and multiply.
So what you're saying is you don't necessarily want to follow the parameters of courtship.
No, ma'am, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, Khadijah said, if people who are scared of courtship saying, why do it? Because, like, it don't mean that, but it kind of does mean that. If you court somebody, it kind of do mean that you want to marry them. Because why else would I court somebody if I ain't trying to marry them?
Right. But okay, let's just go into, let's just say we're just dating. Let's take the term courtship out of it.
Okay.
If you meet a sister, and you're interested in her, and this sister is very serious about her life, about her, the things that she has worked hard for, her heart, all of that. She's very serious about this relationship. She's going to have standards, hopefully, and she's going to expect the brother to come correct, to come 100 with her, to be serious about the way he's pursuing her. So if this is a woman who has been doing the work for herself and she truly knows what she's looking for in a mate, she's gonna stop you right away. It's not going to be I'm just chilling and let me date for about 3 to 5 years. I need to see what I'm working first. I need to live with you first. No, that's a mistake. We have to, as women, we have to take responsibility. First of all, we have to know our power as women, and we have to take responsibility for the part that we play, that really we are playing ourselves when we allow someone to come into our life and they tell us up front that they are not serious right away, that they don't really, I don't really want to, I'm not interested in marriage right now. I'm just chilling. I just want to get to know you. Who has time for that? Yeah. Who has time for just be chilling? We don't have time for that. We're grown. So, it's all about the person. It goes back to your non-negotiables. It goes back to your red flags. It goes back to the things that you're going to accept for yourself. And I was guilty of it as well. Like, the brother was so suave and so, he was nice looking. He dressed nice. He had the gift of gab. So that starts blinding you. And then the nation, don't put sex into it. Or once sex comes into the picture, before the nation. Once sex comes into the picture, then you are definitely clouded. Your vision is completely clouded. It's done, because from now on, anything that pops up, whatever red flag is, you are going to may not ignore it, but you're not going to hit it right on and address it as you should up front, as someone who is focused and has a clear mind and clear vision on what exactly they want, and no physical has been a part of the situation. So I don't know why. I mean, a brother, you know, he has his own decisions of why he does what they do, or why they want to get into a situation, and they're not necessarily interested in marriage right away. But it's up to us as women to decide what we're going to tolerate. And then once we decide that and we know our power, then that's it right there. There's no other conversation, no other discussion.
Beautiful.
But also, Brother Joshua and Sister Portia, and I'll be very quick with this, we think we can change them.
Yes.
They tell us up front, I'm not really ready for a marriage.
Right.
But if you still want to talk, we can still talk. They still want the engagement. They still want the sister or the brother, whoever does this, they still want that feeling of hearing the tickling sound of a man's voice or a woman's voice, because it's it's just in the nature for a man and a woman to desire someone of the opposite sex to give them that. We got to just be real.
Right.
And we think in the nation, if I can win this man over, I can win this sister over to change her mind. No, a lot of it doesn't work that way. And we're very foolish to think that we can change a person's position. Right. The only person you can change or have control over their reality is just your reality, yourself. But we think if I give him some bean soup, I make sure I put a little extra carrot fluff on his plate at the mosque, I save a little extra piece of bean pie, or maybe even be with him. We gotta just keep it real.
Right.
Intimately.
Right.
If I put this thing on his brother, man, I can win him to my way. And we really play ourselves when we do that. And it's not to make anyone feel bad or make anyone feel less than themselves if you had made that mistake, because many of us have made that mistake. I always joke and say that's why that's why Muhammad gave us law, and he gave us penalties for breaking the law, because he knew we was gonna break them. That's why we got penalties for breaking the law. That's because he knew at one point that we fall short of ourselves, that we will break the law. That's why we have penalties that come with the law. So the thing is, and the minister has taught us that too, sisters, he said it in these words, sister, when you give yourself to a brother and you're not committed to him, you really do yourself a disservice and you really play yourself. I'll say it in that layman term. So we just got to keep it real. We're being very transparent. But once you learn from your mistakes and again, if we really assess the situation, Brother Joshua, it's not based on what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught. It's not based on what the Honorable Minister Farrakhan had given us. And we have seen, even if you're not dealing within the nation, you have seen your girlfriends, your friends have gone through the same crap, and you follow right behind them thinking you sunshine from Harlem Nights. When your stuff go up in the air, it shines. No, it doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. We got to not play ourselves in these type of situations. Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. This reference that you said, Harlem Nights, is this like Gone with the Wind? What is this movie? What is this?
Harlem Nights, brother. I know you're a little young, but Harlem Nights was a movie with Eddie Murphy, and it was a young lady in the movie. Her name was Sunshine. And she, now I'm hoping you can remember the movie.
Yeah, we
got Sunshine. Leah Rashawn played Sunshine, and she seduced a police officer with
Red Fox. With Red Fox and stuff.
Yes, okay, and he left his family. So it was a funny movie, but they call it Sunshine. So some of us we think we're sunshine. That when we put ourselves up in the air, we just glow. It doesn't work that way. Yes, it's nothing new underneath the sun.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Okay. You have a lot of people saying, just to teach. A lot of folks want benefits of relationships without being in a relationship. Yep. Y'all are keeping it real, sisters. Thank you all. Mimi, Naima. Thank you, Sister Delano, Sister Joy, Sister Alicia. Sister Alicia says some brothers want a situationship. Thank you for that. Brother Edward Steve says courtship doesn't mean engagement. Wow. Okay. So Brother Edward Steve said you want to see if you're compatible for marriage. But thank you, sister, for that, Sister Miriam. Excellent. And Mimi says, okay, first of all, I don't. Anyway, I'm not familiar with the Red Fox reference. Okay, my next question. Oh, Sister Portia, I was coming back to you. The one. How should someone know who is the one?
Another excellent question. So if I can bounce back to what Sister Khadijah was talking about as far as taking on God's vision, taking on Allah's vision and his coloring. So once you have done that hard work on yourself, and when I say hard work, you have to really touch on the baggage that you carry from one relationship to the next, from one courtship to the next. Childhood trauma can really play a major part in how you deal with the opposite sex. Your relationships with your mother and your father. These are things that we have to work on individually before we try to assess whether we're truly ready for marriage. So I was going to say that in getting to know yourself and sorry, I think I heard my son's footsteps. Getting to know yourself and getting to really do that work on yourself and the issues that you carry as an individual, you are going, so as you are working on yourself and you're starting to purify yourself as a person, like Sister Khadijah said, you working out, you're eating healthier, you're studying, you're praying. So now this is a transformation taking place. Your mind and your thoughts are different. So now what you're going to do is you are going to attract what you are. So if you are a person who is, you have a lot of baggage, you know, you're going from relationship to relationship, and this is no judgment zone because we've all made the same mistakes. But you're going from relationship to relationship, or let's just say you've been single for a long time, but you really have not touched on the major issues and the major things that you need to touch on that have affected you in your relationships in the past. So once you are working on these things and you are actually becoming more purified as a person, and you just, you know, you are just a better person inside and out. Now you're going to actually be able to navigate, and when someone comes your way, you can feel and see the energy. That's the thing. Energy is real. You can feel that energy, but sometimes we ignore that negative energy and that bad energy because our mind is clouded, and it may not be clouded from a physical situation. It could be clouded because we just are on the physical, on the surface level, where we have not dug deep in ourselves. We are starting to attract people that think like you. So if we want to, you know, we say that, oh, I want an Idris Elba, I want a Morris Chestnut, I want this and that. But are you that, sis? Are you the person that he wants? Right. So as we are working on ourselves and working on the things that, you know, have traumatized us, getting audited or going through counseling and therapy, that's real. We have to, as a people, as a community, we have been traumatized in some way, form, or fashion, okay? We cannot ignore that. So whatever the situation is, we have to work through it. We have to first identify it. That's the first step. Identify that there has been a problem. And after we identify that there has been a problem, now let's accept it, and now we can work and filter through it, and then have someone on the outside who is professional and who has that particular certification to now help you work through those issues and those problems that we don't necessarily know how to do on our own. So as we are getting these things worked through, as we are getting rid of that baggage, that we cannot ignore, it's going to always show up in some form. It's going to show up in your relationship. So we are going to now be able to see, wow, I worked on myself. I'm eating better. I'm a better person than I was last year. This brother has come to me, or come to, you know, gone through the process of courtship, or he has approached me and said he's interested. And he really has a lot of the qualities that I'm looking for. His spirit is right. So you're not in tune with all this stuff. You're not in tune with spirit. You're not in tune with energy. How are you going to be able to identify it? Because the devil comes in the way that you like it too. Okay, let's talk about that. He's going to come in a form that he knows all the temptations that you are going to fall short in. So if he knows that you like somebody who, you know, light skin, long hair, nice thick leg, whatever it is, he's going to come in that female, and it's going to be a temptation for you. So we have to understand how to identify devil versus God. Is this person reflecting the God within? Because my God don't reflect that. So if you know that you have been in a relationship and you have been truly working on your relationship with God, then you're going to be able to identify the God within that person. But if you have not been able to go through those spiritual journeys within and by yourself, then it's going to be really hard for you to identify it, because now you're going off of a very superficial, I won't say basic, because we're intelligent people by nature, but our intelligence level and our spiritual level is very, very, very minimum and basic until we really get into a deeper level of understanding and we start really going into the spirituality of studying and, going to your study groups or, collaborating with other people of like minds, going to your prayer on a consistent basis. Now your mind and your heart is being transformed and conformed to be more like God. So now you're going to be able to feel the energy of the person, and you're going to be able to see that heart. That's what I was talking about earlier with, I now know my husband was attracted to me when I first met him, but now I'm like, he is finer than wine for real, because I know his heart. He's a beautiful person. He's a beautiful man. And that's something that I knew. I'm going to tell you specifically, that was a sign, because when I say on my prayer rugs during that courtship, because I had been through a situation before that and I was like, I'm done. So literally God showed me, and I know exactly the moment. We were at his mother's house, and it's really a basic sign, but it was a clear sign for me, because I was asking a lot, please show me a sign. Give me clear signs whether this is right or not. He was making some, like, cooking in the kitchen. Myself and his mom were in there as well. And it was just something that came across him, his spirit, his look, the look of being proud to be able to fix a meal for myself and his mother. It was in that moment, I literally fell in love with him. And we weren't even married then. We were still in the courtship process, but I knew he was the one in that moment, because I could see his heart. I could see that he was consistent with me. I can see that he kept his word. I can see that he always showed up and always made sure that he was honest with me and truthful with me, and that he took my heart and my feelings seriously and didn't play around with it. These are the types of signs that you should be looking for in a possible mate. This is how you know if someone is the one for you. God is going to show you that. But if you're not in tune with God, it's going to be really, really hard for you to be able to identify if that's the person or not.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you all very much, and thank you all for listening. How many of you are here for your first time? How many are here second? How many believe that what you heard today is true and good for our people? Because our sisters have been teaching today, they've been tearing it up. My sister Naima and Miriam both say, "All praise to Allah." Galen X says this is right on time because the brother been going through it. Cherie New says, "Speak on that energy." Alicia Keys says, "That's real," to the Portia. Sister Helene says, "Energy is very major, knowing a person's character and working on your own self. We already know if you and that person will be like oil and water. Yes, ma'am. We need therapy and auditing." Thank you, Delano Muhammad. Praise be to Allah. Thank you all for continuing to watch the People's Podcast. Yes, ma'am. Yes, Black Love. That's right, Sister Alicia. Boom. Back to you, Sister Khadijah.
Yes, sir.
Being patient.
Yes.
Now, the reason I'm asking this is because what I've observed, tell me if you all can understand it, sisters, is that there is somewhat of a gender bias when it comes to the brothers and sisters with being impatient. If there's a brother on one side and a sister on the other side, and they're both saying, in 3 years, right, we're going to be finished with school, get our master's degrees, boom, boom. They both want to be finished, and they're going to be looking at the people that want to go look at the brother from observation and say he's being a savage, he's a heathen, he's playing around, and he doesn't want to be serious about life. But sometimes with the sisters, it's like, that's right, sister, stay chaste, be patient, be independent. And why is there a difference when the brother is saying he's being patient and focused versus when the sister is being patient and focused? Sister Khadijah, boom.
Well, the Holy Quran teaches us the male is not like the female. So the standards are always going to be different when you're assessing the male over the female. When a male takes on a mate, he's taking on a responsibility. So when a man is working on himself, he's trying to obtain success because he knows taking on a mate requires him to be in a position where he can take on a mate because he knows he's taking on a responsibility. So some biases do come because it's more understood because of responsibility of what the male has to take on, So, and then with the female, in the other instance, she knows her responsibility. Women, we have aims and we have purposes that we want to fulfill in life, but we know when we get married, sometimes our aims and our purposes have to take a back burner because our aim and purpose is to help fulfill the aim and purpose of our mates. You have some men, as the Honorable Minister Falcon has taught us, that will even sometimes subordinate their aim and purpose to help further the sister's aim and purpose. But when we're in tune with the law, as he has taught, when we both in tune with the law, we can both use our talents and our gifts and our beliefs to further each other. So it's always going to be a different standard from the male and the female when it's dealing with marriage. It's just what it is. I mean, the scripture even has proven that. You know, the woman, if she, has committed sin, they ready to stone the woman. They not ready to stone the male because that's just the standard at the woman. A nation that can't rise no higher than its woman. You think of Aisha and the slanderers. They thought less of Aisha when she was, remember the story we were taught where she was traveling and she got away from the caravan and then she was brought back by someone of the party and they began to slander her. So the standard is always different from the male and the female. But when the two make the decision, it should not matter what no one else thinks. This is your decision. So if you want to be with this person and they say, well, you know what, I want to make sure I finish my career, get my trade or finish college bay in 3 years, and then we're going to get married, whatever your choice that you choose with your potential mate, that's between you and them, and it should stay there. That's why courtship is a private event. It should be not announced to everyone. It's a private affair. You have of course, we said it's a courtesy as taught in the courtship manual to let the captain and the sister captain, the brother captain know, but it's a very private type of event because you want to keep it that way so you can make sure you keep the respectability of the courtship and not have naysayers or any individuals that might not be well wishers or even forcing you to go into it quicker because you're in courtship. So it's just a different standard from the male and the female. But whatever the two parties decide, it should be respected and it should be between them two and no one else.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you very much, Khadijah, for continuing to teach, as well as Sister Portia. Sister Miriam says facts. Brother Delano says it's supposed to be different. Brother Galen, I have to work on patience. Sister Naima, break it down because Sister Khadijah. Brother Sister Alicia says brothers be making excuses. Thank you for that, Alicia. Brother Edward said marriage struggle. And Sister Miriam says there's a difference between stalling and being patient. That's right. These sisters have to stop stalling. Be patient. Let's promote marriage. I want everybody to come out here and get married. Stop taking y'all time. Y'all don't want to get. They don't want to get married. What's wrong with these sisters? Come on, now.
Sisters.
Sister Portia.
Brother, let me tell you something. One of the desires as a sister is to be with an FOI.
That's
now,
right.
if I wanted to be married to any type of man from the streets, I have no doubt that I could be married right at this time. But my desire, Allah has tailor-made us to be with you, the FOI.
That's
and the
right.
FOI is tailor-made to be with the MGT. We are taught in a constant training in our classes to know how to care for that FOI. We taught how to take care of his children, how to keep house, how to take care of his children, cook, and in general, how to act at home and abroad. So these training movements was given to us by our leader and prophet of Islam. I want to get all preachy, but the reality is we are taught and trained to be with the FOI. So that's what I need on my arm. Especially, it's a benefit and it's ours. So whoever don't have an MGT or FOI, I don't know how you cannot see in this hour the benefit of having one. You got your wife canning, brother, saving that, preparing food. She making sure she's stocking up. She's doing all she needs to do. Who understands the hour, how she is not making her home her place, but her base. So it's a security for you and a peace of rest when you come in. So it's a blessing to have an FOI who know how to move out, know when to stay, who's having divine guidance given to him by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, has given us the greatest guidance to know when to move, when to stay still, when to speak, when not to speak. So we are made for each other. You do yourself a huge disservice not being with the MGT or FOI in this hour. But like the minister has taught us, you can't tell people where to love. Love is love. Right. But I choose to love and wait to be with the FOI. That's just me.
Praise be to Allah. And that's right. And that's just many of the brothers, because they be having these courtship events and stuff like that. And from my observation, it's always it's way more brothers than sisters. So a lot of brothers in this time specifically. That's what I see. Y'all, that's what I see.
Brother Joshua, I don't know what event you be attending, but that's not what I heard, and that has not been my experience.
That's my experience.
Joshua,
That's my experience.
I have been. Well, first I want to shout out to Sister A.T. Kushman and all of the staff that has worked on the singles and healthy family initiatives. I have not seen Brother Joshua at any. I have one national. I have not seen Brother Joshua at any. And when I say NT, I'm gonna say it good. NT singles events, period. So maybe he made his own, but
no. I'm saying the ones I've been to the ones that did.
So it's always more sisters than it is brothers, and that's
okay. That's what I'm saying. We've been at different ones, but the ones I've been to, the majority of brothers, FOI, are ready to take on responsibility, get married to the MGT. And the same way you feel about the 7 units, that's what the FOI, we fight and kill for our sisters. That's what we've been taught since we were born. So ain't nothing like having an MGT, especially in this time. So brothers, let's get up there and take on our responsibilities. I'm promoting that. Listen, sisters. What? Like I'm saying the same. How come? When she said the same thing, I was like, when I said the same thing, y'all like, oh, come on, what?
No, sir. Thank you so long.
Okay, Sister Portia, my question to you is, the nature of the male and female has been known to be different. There have been books, previous, 5 love languages, men are from Mars, women from Venus, things like that. Those different type of books. How can we learn since you're married now? Right. Did communication become easier once you got married? Did you start to understand the difference between the male and the female language? Did it become easier once you got married?
Okay, so brother, remember we're going to go back to that question you asked about a beautiful struggle. Okay, mm-hmm. So not to say that it's a totally different conversation once you get married, but you're supposed to have those serious conversations during courtship, which is what we did. However, when you are married and you are in the household with someone day in and day out, you're going to have some disagreements every now and then. But it's just how you deal with them and how you respond to them. So to answer your question as far as did the conversations get better, you have to work through that. So that's one of the struggles. You have to work through, how does this person receive how you were talking to him? Mm-hmm. How do the brother has to know, how do you receive? What's the best way to navigate this conversation so that we get the best outcome for both individuals? If it means that we can agree to disagree, come back to it, fine. But just like you should get, your counseling and your therapy before you get married, now as an individual, you should get premarital counseling while you're, once you decide that y'all want to continue on and you get engaged or whatever, and you are both agreeing that you want to get married eventually, then you should definitely get premarital counseling at that point. And then you should continue on with marriage counseling, because some of us may or may not have been married before, but if you have never been married before, this is like uncharted territory. Mm-hmm. You don't know, maybe my husband grew up with both of his parents, so he kind of saw a little bit of the marriage life between his mother and his father. But just because you see that, you don't see the real deal from your parents. Some children do, but you don't really see the real deal as far as the essence of that relationship. You may see the exterior version of, oh, she cooks, they get along, they're kissing, they have fun, we do this as a family. But when it really comes down to the nitty gritty of how that relationship is, you're not really going to be able to see those details. So you may have grown up in a 2-parent household, but there are also some things that we still have to work on as individuals, especially as you become one and you are in the marriage now. It's gonna be so many things that pop up that go along with that beautiful struggle that you're gonna have to deal with, and it's the way that you deal with them. So I won't say that the conversations necessarily got easier. You dealt with them differently. You react to them differently. And then when you do have the disagreement, make sure that you may disagree in the best of manner, in a refined way. And that's important as far as in the teachings, that we always settle on the best part. So we
Right.
have to remember that. We want to take on the coloring of Allah, but we also want to, it says that we want to be above as far as rising above emotions into the thinking of God. We have to remember that. That one thing when they say think 5 times before you speak, we have to definitely practice that.
Yes, ma'am.
As a male and a female, as far as the nature of the male and the female. So we are made to complement. Our natures are made to complement each other. But if we don't have that proper knowledge of ourselves and that proper knowledge of God, then those natures can become destructive of one another. And that's where you get that, you know, that rebelliousness. That's where you get those arguments and those fights. That's not what we were meant to be. We were meant to complement and to work hand in hand as a team. So in those deep conversations, in those difficult conversations that you're going to come across as a married person, you just have to remember that this is the one that Allah God chose for you. This is not your enemy. He's on your team and you are on his team. Y'all teammates.
Right.
So we have to work through this and figure out what is the best outcome for both of us. And when we settle on the facts of something versus our emotions, see, when we're constantly getting our emotions involved and we're leading by emotion, that's where the problem comes. And when we have the disagreements or the conversations. So we have to base the conversation on facts. When we base it on facts, no, you can't negate a fact. Okay, the truth is the truth. So we have to make sure that we always centering our conversations on truth, on facts, and once we do that, settling on the best part, making sure that we're thinking 5 times before we speak, then we're going to have the outcome that we need to happen.
Praise be to Allah. And Sister Khadijah, I'm coming to you. Brother Edward Steve says, sisters throw rise above emotion study guide out the window. The day-to-day routine of life can beat the marriage up sometimes. Brother Ivan says, when you have an issue, remember to attack the issue and not each other. Teach Sister Portia understood. Praise be to Allah. Thank you very much. Okay, boom. Sister Khadijah. Okay, so Khadijah, see that Wi-Fi, but if I say that,
I'm sorry. I apologize. It's my phone. Sorry. It was a message that came up. My apologies.
Okay, yes, ma'am. I wanted to know advice. What advice, based off your previous marriage, would you give to future wives?
Wow, based off my, one of the I'm married very young. I will say that I came into the nation, and my ex-husband invited me out to the nation, even though I was familiar with the nation. My mother and father was in the first resurrection, and my ex put me in, invited me out, and I came and I joined. And I really wish, I would say, I got really founded in my Islam before I married, because I married like a year or so after joining. And I really wish I would have had my foundation first of my Islam coming into under the guidance of the Most Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So that was important to me, as I see now. But one thing I will say now, I'm at the beautiful age of 44, not afraid to say I'm 44. And I know I'm a different person at 44 than I was at 18. And I've assessed a lot of things in my life. So I know now I would know how to handle my mate better. Because one of my issues growing into myself, when disappointment came, I didn't know how to handle my mouth. And sometimes I would deride or berate my ex-husband with my mouth. And doing that will lead us to get into verbal confrontation, and then sometimes even leading into physical confrontation. So I'm going to be wiser in how I respond to him and bring out what God has put in him, and not bring out what Satan has put in him, or what Satan has formed him, because we're all in the process of evolving. We're all in the process of growing. Right. So I will make sure that I would be careful. Like Sister Portia said, think 5 times before I speak. Know that as the female, I have a responsibility to help and bring the best out of my man, as well as he has that same responsibility to bring the best out of me, but not to belittle him or berate him with my mouth. And that was one thing I did in my first marriage, and I promised myself I wouldn't do that in my second. And if Allah blesses me to find a mate. So I will share with the sisters, don't beat your man down. He's already broken. He's already being beat down by an enemy that's taking his life just for being Black. So we supposed to give him a level of peace when he comes in the house, a level of contentment when he comes to us. But I'll have to always be, I was trying to be as balanced as the minister is, but brothers, you also have to help to create that environment for the woman to give you peace. She just can't give you peace if you're not helping to usher in that reality either. So I have to be balanced on that. So if you don't have having her secure, it's very hard for a woman to give you peace when she's not secure. But that's one thing I would share with the women, to make sure that you don't beat your man down, bring him up, but also on the other end, brothers, help to create the environment and give her the peace where she can help be what's in her nature to be your helpmeet.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful. I'm coming to you, sister Portia. Somebody come, Auntie Asmija says, beautiful, beautiful self-reflection. Thank you for sharing your testimony. Praise be to Allah. Sister Portia?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. You have been married. You're married now. Right. And what advice, but you told me offline that you were, single for some time as well. So what advice would you give to sisters who are single first, and then we'll come to marriage second, but single sisters, what advice would you give to them about being single?
Right. So first and foremost, definitely making sure that you get to know yourself and Allah God, whoever you believe in. You have to develop that relationship. That's number one. Secondly, please make sure that you do everything that you have ever dreamed of doing. Like,
right.
Go get your education, go get, that master's degree or that doctorate, or go start that business, or go travel, enjoy yourself. Like, I made a mistake because I was so focused on getting married. I was like, okay, at 20, as soon as I graduated from college, 25, I'm going to get married. Like, I had a timeline for everything that I wanted. I was so focused on just trying, wanting to get married and wanting to find that husband and this and that. Although I was able to travel and see a lot of the world, and I was able to do a lot of things that I'm grateful that I was able to do a lot of the things that I was able to do while I was single. So if I would give one piece of advice, I would definitely say, do you. Enjoy life, travel, see the world. I mean, once outside opens back up again, make sure that you have the basic skills of a wife or a homemaker. Like, do you know how to cook? Okay, if you're not, practice those new recipes, sis. Like, go ahead and practice cooking. If you are not good at cleaning right now, you might be a little junky. Work on, your cleaning regimens, because all of this is important. You don't want to go into your marriage and you have not worked on any of this stuff. That's where the problems are going to come. So make sure that you are rooted in whatever you believe in, rooted in the teachings, have a knowledge of yourself, have a knowledge of God, and just enjoy yourself. Go travel, go go start your business, whatever you desire to do. Don't wait. Do it now.
I
can't hear her. Can you hear us, Sister Khadijah?
No, I can't. I hope she knows. I don't think she knows though.
Can you hear me?
Right. Oh, there you go, Sister Portia. Yes, ma'am. We can hear you now.
Sister Portia.
Yeah.
I think somebody's dying in the background. I think somebody's fighting. I think somebody's setting somebody on fire or something in the background.
Yes, let's just look at these. Can you go ahead and elaborate? Let me just check on something right quick. I'll be right back.
Yes, ma'am. Well, we sisters, so we cover down for each other. But like the Sister Portia was saying, when work on yourself, perfect your home, accomplish all that you want to accomplish, your dreams, and focus. So when you come into your mate, you don't feel that you left something out that you want to accomplish. Because when you become a wife, it's just what it is. Your obligation is towards your husband. You're fulfilling a lot of his aims and his purpose. And I said it earlier in the dialogue. You have some men that will subordinate their aims and purpose to fulfill what the wife was. Like, for instance, she has a desire to have her own bakery. Your husband might make that decision and say, well, let me work and help fulfill her aim and purpose. But it's not a guarantee. But when you work collectively together, you can fulfill both of your aims and purposes. So by the grace of Allah, is again, like Sister Portia, she really capped it up. Work on yourself, travel, enjoy yourself, live. Don't feel that because you're based off of an age, you have to be married at 20, you have to be married at 30. Be married when you want to be married. And that's one thing I'll share that I've learned from men. Men marry when they're ready. You can't force them. I remember a friend of mine, he's a male friend of mine, he explained to me, this is how sometimes a man thinks. He said, you can be in a relationship with the person for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, but if he's not ready for marriage, is nothing you as that woman in his life right now is going to force him to do or get married. Is when he's ready. That's why so many times you see women with men for 10, 20 years, he wouldn't marry her. But then when he's ready, whoever's in that window, he marries them. It's not that the woman was better than the one he had, it's just that he was ready. Or he's really showing you he doesn't want to marry you if you've been with him for 20 years and he still tells you he doesn't want to be with you. Believe people when they, like what you said, Maya Angelou said, someone made that comment, when people show you or believe them. So move on and don't ever feel, and I want to get on this other point too, as single sisters, because some of us get a little impatient. You might have been in the nation or been in the nation for many years and just been single for many years, never been in courtship. Don't look at that as something bad. Keep working on yourself. So when the time is ready for you to receive that person, you're ready to receive them. It doesn't make you less. Men choose women for a divine reason, their purpose. Not, the minister shared this with us before during a lecture. A man doesn't choose, if he chooses a woman, he chooses for his purpose and what he wants. It doesn't mean that you're better than the one he didn't choose. He chose you for his purpose, his aim, and what he wants fulfilled. So it doesn't make you less if a man chooses another woman over you. That's what he wants. That's what he needs. And never feel that you're less because you haven't been chosen. Allah has chose you. He said you're the best. You have to believe that. And what energy you reflect out, you will get it back in return. And that's why it's no coincidence. I know Sister Portia can be a witness. When we started working more on ourselves and just focusing on Khadijah, that my light illuminated that even more people wanted to be attracted, or became attracted to it. That's the energy, whatever energy you give out is what you get. What your output will be your input, and vice versa. So sister, just keep that are single. Don't give up the faith. Allah hears you. Allah answers the prayers of the righteous. All you have to do is pray to him. And when it's time, the right one will come. Just keep the faith.
Beautiful, beautiful. And Sister Portia, what advice would you give to sisters now that you are married, the single sisters, about what it's like to be married?
So communication is definitely important. It's the key.
Yes, ma'am.
Making sure that you are communicating with the best of manners. Keeping Allah in the center of your marriage, always. Like, that is the foundation. You have to make sure, and that's one of the things that should be a non-negotiable. Like, your mate, I'm just speaking for myself. I wanted my husband to have the same level, making like his relationship with God was just as serious as it was with me. So I want to make sure that we always keep God in the center of our marriage. Making sure that we are always communicating and have fun with each other. Like, you have to be friends with your mate. You have to enjoy actually being around them. Like this, we have to kind of lighten it up a little bit and not be so serious. Of course, it's a serious situation, but y'all should be having pillow talk and enjoying each other's conversations and jonesing on each other, whatever time y'all use, teasing each other, just having fun. Like, that's the main thing. Like, making sure you are actually friends with your husband, making sure you're friends with your wife. Like, keep it spicy. Don't ever allow mundane to creep up in your relationship. Keep it spicy. Keep the creativity coming so that nobody ever gets bored. Nobody ever feels like, this is the same, predictable. You don't want to become predictable from the brother. You want to make sure you always keeping him on his toes. So those are very important in keeping a successful marriage. Praise be to Allah, me and my husband will be celebrating 4 years of marriage in September. And it's been a beautiful struggle. Like, I, with a shadow of a doubt, know that Allah God has chosen this man for me. Like, he is my soulmate. He is the person that I have been praying for. And so, yeah, just as long as you keep that up, and as long as you just remember that you cannot do anything without God, as long as you continue having fun and keep the communication going, like, communication is so key. It can be the smallest thing, because the thing that you got to realize in marriage is, it's not the big things that break up a marriage. It's those little small things that have built up, and now you're like, you know what? I'm tired of this. I didn't kept it in. I've been dealing with this for all these years, and now it's just like, I can't deal with it anymore. So that's where the communication comes in. Don't let things build up. Just confront it head on, communicate in the best manner, and make sure that you are being respectful in how you communicate with that person. Because just know that this person, just because he's a man, does not mean he does not have feelings. This man has feelings. He has a heart. He, you know, men do cry. You know, they may not let us see him cry, but men cry. So you have to keep that in mind. You know, no matter how hard he may appear to be, these brothers have feelings. They have a heart just like you do. So and they are a child of God just like you. So we have to handle each other like we are children of God, period.
And I can also add this one last part too. And sometimes you're not gonna like your mate. Doesn't mean you don't love them, but it's gonna be sometimes you just don't like them. And what's going on in that dispensation of time. So there's nothing wrong with taking a break, going into your room, assessing situations.
Right.
Because our lives are like the seasons. You have a summer, winter, a spring, and fall. That's just the natural law of how the nature is set up. And that's how the natural it is. That law sometimes can apply in our marriages. You have your sunny days, then you have your rainy days, but guess what? The sun comes back out again. So you just have to know how we are taught how to weather through the storms, to get through them. You're going to go through them, but it's how you prepare yourself when you're going through them that's going to make the difference, because you're going to have them. You're going to have the good days. You're going to have arguments. You're going to have disagreements, but it never should get where Shaitan enters into the marriage, when we start belittling each other, when we start degrading each other, when we start treating each other less than what Allah said we are, which is God's. So that's when you know you're going on a decrease in your marriage, and it's very hard in many cases when you go so low to bring it back up. Not that you can't bring it back up, but it's better to catch it when you see the weight at 200 than 700. You see what I'm saying? So it's a difference. So that's all I would just say. Just keep things knowing you're going to have those seasons in marriage, but know how to weather them by preparing yourself mentally, and that's leaning on Allah for the wisdom and guidance to handle it.
Crazy.
Can I add something to that, Brother Joshua?
Okay, yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, this just popped up. So this is strictly for the sisters. Okay, so we are kind of forced to be the independent women when we're single. Like, we kind of have to build ourselves to be aggressive and almost maneuver in this world as men when we're single, because that's placed on our backs as women, right? We don't necessarily want to do it, and of course it's not in our nature. So as women, when we get married, we have to be able to discern between being assertive in marriage and being aggressive in marriage. So as we're doing that, picking our battles and making sure that we're not trying to put on the pants, because now you have a man that can take on what he should be taking on as a man in your marriage. You have that black man now, and so you can now hopefully sit back and humble yourselves and now maneuver in a way that you were built to. So by nature, we're supposed to be a little more softer, a little more, I'm not going to say, of course, submissive, but, that can be a whole controversial situation and a controversial topic. But yes, we should submit to our husbands, but just be careful that you are not trying to put back on those pants that you had to put on in the world when you were single. We don't want to be seen as being aggressive, because that is definitely, that's not attractive to a man. He didn't marry another man, right? He didn't
Right.
get into a marriage to be with another man. So he was looking for something that can complement him. And in complementing, we are the softest side of him. And so that's what he needs in this world that he's constantly battling on a daily basis. He needs that peace. He needs that softer side, that nurturing side, that comforting side. So we have to tap back into that. That's another piece of work that we might have to work on during marriage, because we don't even understand how aggressive we are as women. But we have to definitely work on being softer, being assertive versus aggressive, and tap into that man's mind. Be a friend of his mind so that you know what he needs before he even says it. So
Right.
if I can say anything, that's what else I would say.
Praise the Lord. Thank you. And that on that perfect note, that is a great note. I hope all you sisters are listening. I want to make sure everybody thank you all for watching. I'm encouraged now, and I hope the sisters are encouraged to go to the single events that Sister AT and Sister Khadijah Davies are putting on. The brothers are going to be there.
Healthy Relationships Initiative. Healthy Relationship Initiative. That's
You already know the FOY. Come on the front line. You already know they're gonna be there, running there.
Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you all again for presenting me with this idea to do it. Any other ideas and topics that you all have, I'll be sure it's an honor that you all will come on the People's Podcast. I'm gonna put it on YouTube tonight. Thank you all very much for your honesty. I'm sure you help heal many people. Thank you all for the information as well as the inspiration. Thank you all for watching, and assalamu alaikum.
Well, sir.